Hello and welcome to Video 2. Our byline on our website, purelyprabhupada.com, is Ancient Truths for the Upliftment of the Modern Man, Modern Society, Modern World. What is this idea of modern? As if modern was best. If we don't know what the goal is, how do we know if we're actually progressing? How do we know if we're not going backwards? If we look around in the society now, we see a diminishing of morality, of religiosity, of sanity. So how can we say we're making progress? Because we stand in front of the door and it opens in front of us and we don't have to push it open? And that's our idea of progress? Or that we're shooting rockets up into space so that we can survey the entire planet, know where everybody is, and control them? Is that our idea of progress? We need to be a little thoughtful. In Sanskrit, the word man is similar, manu, manisham, somebody who's thoughtful. So human life is meant for thoughtfulness. And we spoke about this in our introductory video. And we talked about how on this planet was a civilization so sophisticated, so advanced, that we don't even have a reference point for it. We have some idea of what an advanced culture might look like that had a lot more knowledge than we have now, that created structures that we can't duplicate even with all of our modern equipment that we're so proud of. So we know about Egypt, we know about Rome, but we don't know very much about the Vedic culture. And I would offer that there is a reason for that. When Srila Prabhupada came to America, he said that he noticed how everyone had an idea of India. Oh, India, very, very poor, dismissed, poor country, dismissed. There's one story I'd like to share with you. And a traveler in India, somebody wealthy, who finally, after so many years of hard work, had managed to create a life for himself that he would have liked to have lived for his entire life, but he was working hard. So now he was taking it more easy, traveling to beautiful places, spending time alone and in nature. And he met a simple man who lived by the river, engaged in some conversation with him. The man could speak enough English that he could engage. And so he wanted to know a little bit about this man's life, what he did, how he lived. This man was interested to know about this man from the West and what his background was. And the conclusion of the conversation was very interesting, because even though this man from the West had had, at least, in the terms of somebody who lived by a river in a village, in a small home, almost we would consider like a hut, his entire life, this other man, with all his experiences and all his hard work, now was deciding to spend time in nature, now was deciding to spend time with God. And here this simple man had been doing that his entire life and feeling satisfied and happy. We need to start thinking about where we're putting our time and energy, and the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that comes from these books, from the self-realized sages. can become our beacon, our guiding light. We need to start thinking very, very thoughtfully about so much that we've accepted as truth, and now we're discovering that there's a very big question mark. So I'm not going to dissemble. I'm going to straightforwardly, directly speak about a couple of topics that immediately somebody might hear it and say, oh, I thought maybe there was something here, but now I know this person is not worth listening to. Let's talk about Darwin's theory of evolution. I grew up with it. You grew up with it. It's a theory that has been called fact. Why? Within our society, within the society, the organization of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that was started in 1965 by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There were a number of very, very intelligent, academically oriented devotees, some of them with PhDs. One of them, his name was Dr. Svarup Damodar, and he decided that he would primarily, because of his degrees and his field of expertise, address this issue in the higher academic circles with people who had numbers of degrees. And although he interacted with them over the years, publicly, none of them appeared to be persuaded. But before he left this world, after many, many years interacting with these people, some of them came to him in private and said, you know, we have never found the missing link. And we now understand it does not exist. But we cannot say this publicly because we would lose our funding. But privately, as you have directed us in a different understanding, we see that what you have spoken to us about is indeed true. And Srila Prabhupada said that Darwin actually took his concept from one of the Vedic literatures called the Padma Purana, which talks about the various species of life, beginning from plant life, and then going to aquatics, and insects, and birds, and animals. And that he was actually paid by the British to develop this atheistic theory, which he himself didn't even believe. So, as we are looking about at our world crumbling around us, and sources that we had accepted as truthful sources, places that we could count on, that we could believe, that we could put our trust and our faith in. And now we're seeing that we have been lied to in many, many ways. The good news is that these ancient literatures are available. You may look at our website, purelyprabhupada.com, and begin to acquaint yourself with the principles of higher knowledge. Because these principles are going to create unity in our world, not continue the disunity, because they're not based on sectarian ideas. It's not about, I'm this religion. No, I'm that religion. I believe this. No, I believe that. Because on a foundational level, think about this. Every single living being goes through the process of birth, right? Growth, we transform, we live for some time, we produce byproducts and die, even an amoeba. Do you know what these Vedic literatures say? Listen to this revolutionary idea. The same quality of soul that lives in a one-celled organism is the same as is in a human being. Yeah. That respect for life in every single form, even an ant, is what becomes foundational in a society that is based on God consciousness. That is why it is so important that we learn, imbibe, and put into practice these eternal principles, which are coming directly from the Supreme Lord Himself. He has not left His children without direction, but we have to take the direction, accept the direction, know the direction, follow that direction. And then we can turn around this entire planet. And here's more good news before we end. The prediction in these ancient Vedic literatures, which has to do with the time we're living in now, is that a golden age is coming that will last for 10,000 years. Right now, we are in the birth pangs, and any mother who has given birth knows how painful it is just before the child comes. So we're going through a painful period right now with the dropping away of the old to bring in the new. And I encourage all of you to please take the time, visit our website, and little by little we are going to be giving some practical ideas that everyone can begin doing in their lives, in their homes, to become uplifted, even in the midst of the great difficulties that we face now. Thank you very much for spending time with us, and we hope you will continue to spend time with us as this series goes forward. Thank you. Hare Krishna.